Hello again. What an honor it is to be back. This is your host, William Allen Ross, and today on the Tap In podcast, our guest is Leah Dorian, a fantastic visual artist with a technical ability that is amazing. I highly recommend you check out her Instagram page below in the comments of this video. This coming weekend on March 2nd, the Unveiling Visions closing show at the Gallery Lucid is happening, and Leah is among the painters displayed in this show, and I believe that she created a new painting specifically for this show. So please come out and please join the community and see what all the rave is about this Gallery Lucid. It's an excellent curated event that's also catered, so it's win-win. It's a free event, and all the best art you can imagine is there for sale, available at your fingertips. Beauty just waiting to be displayed throughout the home, always creating a better aesthetic than a wall that was remaining blank, unless you were in like a meditation hall where everything should remain blank, in which case maybe you should buy a blank piece of art for your meditation hall. Alright, that's all I'm gonna say. Let's get back to this really inspiring interview with my friend Leah. Thank you, bless you, and let's keep an open heart, hey? Alright, peace. So, I was watching this movie called They Live. Have you seen that movie?
I have not. No.
Okay, it's an old movie. It's kind of corny at some points, but it's this idea that there's like a infestation of aliens that are like casting a illusion ritual over the entire planet with like satellite technology, and so they like walk among us, and they've pretty much enslaved humanity through the corporations, and this guy, I forget the actor's name, but he finds out because there's like this underground team of people trying to reveal the truth to people, but they make these sunglasses that like show the truth of what everything means, so he'll put them on and you'll see like a sign that says like, it's like this it's a computer advertisement, right? But he puts the glasses on and it just says obey, and that's where that comes from, actually.
Okay.
That clothing line, I believe.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a fascinating premise.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever heard of the Anunnaki? Have you ever heard of that?
What? Wait, is that a clown?
The Anunnaki?
Oh, I know like an Anunnaki.
Have you heard of the clown Anunnaki?
We were talking about that the other day. No, I haven't. Who are they?
The Anunnaki. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's a conspiracy theory that I actually would not consider a conspiracy theory as much as it is maybe truth and maybe some history to it. So there's legend has it that the Anunnaki was an interstellar race that came to America,
Well, I guess they're here too, huh?
Yeah, here too.
I know what you mean. They came to Earth, right?
Yeah, and they came to Earth, and mostly because they destroyed their planet, and they were in search of precious metals. So they came to Earth seeking these precious metals, and they found them, and in the meantime they enslaved humans that were not Homo sapiens as we know it, but they were more primal.
Oh.
And they genetically modified our genes and turned our DNA into what we are today. And that is still part of our storyline, apparently, that we are still mining for those precious metals on another agenda than what we think that we are. But it's for the Anunnaki.
Well, there is a large argument about like the missing link in the evolutionary lineage, right? How it's like not there, but it's just like it's gone, and then us. Mm-hmm. Last night there was something about Bigfoot on PBS. And it was like, that sounds more sophisticated though.
Yeah, the Anunnaki. I think they did an episode on ancient aliens.
Really?
Did you watch that?
Dude, I don't. I watched
a couple episodes. It's really fascinating. There's a lot of really good scientific fact that they bring to the table, and it makes it a little bit more believable than just be like, yo, aliens exist, man.
Well, that's what everyone says.
Right, but they do. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I like this segue though. I'm like, do you think that aliens exist in the physical dimension, like that occupy, like literally, that might have different DNA than us that occupy this planet?
That is such a fascinating question.
Yeah, shit, it's something to think about.
Yeah, I think about that often. And today I was listening to another podcast actually about the fifth dimension.
Which podcast?
It's on Gaia.com.
Oh, my old roommates love that station.
Oh, it's such a gem on the internet. It's like Netflix times 1,000.
Netflix.
And then some. Just because there's so much, it's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And when it's all pulled together like that, it's just like opening up a pot of gold, opening up your consciousness with every episode that you watch. You can watch anything on there.
Wow. I have watched it in the past. I watched this one guy who was like trying to transcend, like, he was trying to become superhuman, right? By like doing all these things that gave him really good senses, you know, like he had the best eye-hand coordination ever, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't know if that makes him superhuman or not, but I think that aliens do exist. Can I get back to that?
Yeah, maybe that superhuman goal that he was going for, maybe that is part of the alien aspect. So this podcast is talking about the fifth dimension and operating our consciousness beyond the past, present, future, which is the third dimension.
Yeah.
And anytime we tap in,
it's like the word of the day.
anytime we tap into the present moment, we are sliding right into the fourth dimension, and it goes even deeper and deeper and deeper, layer upon layer, until we reach the fifth dimension, where our entire reality is operating with love.
Aww.
Is operating with reverence and grace, and all those brilliant words that we can understand intellectually a lot of time, but not always remember that in every moment.
Absolutely.
So maybe some alien races are here to show us that this fifth dimension, beings that we see, enlightened masters, maybe those are the aliens that came here to show us.
Yeah, and I think
that there's more dimensions.
I think you're onto something, really, because something I was talking about with my friend Michael was how, what if ideas, clearly aren't like tangible within this third dimension, right? But maybe those are beings too, right? And so there's a possibility that, that you can center yourself enough to communicate with angels or something like that, That kind of idea is how I think of aliens, honestly. And the first time I ever thought about that was because of an Alex Gray painting. I think it was the Cosmic Christ painting.
Oh my goodness.
That one?
That's my favorite one.
It has like depictions from the Bible, right? And the scene where the angel visits Mary, it's an alien. I was like, oh, fuck. I could nerd out on that painting all day.
Same. Yeah, we could go into it. That's a brilliant painting.
And you know what? When I did meet Alex, whenever that guy prayed, he would always pray for all beings, and I feel like I knew he was talking about aliens. I don't know. Well, some of this stuff just does look quite alien by definition, right?
Yeah, it really does. And he captures and channels alien messages, I feel.
Yeah, him and Allison too, right?
Yeah, both of them.
Teamwork.
Allison's sacred language that she brings forth. It's amazing.
I really appreciate that sacred language stuff, because it's what we're talking about, kind of, how there's like ineffable realms of consciousness that is a space that can be occupied, or a good way to think about that is in terms of cognitive behavior. You see, have you heard of cognitive behavior therapy?
Yeah, I have.
So, I've had some, and the only reason I know anything about it is because I've had some. But basically, it tells you that you're behaving a way in your mind before you behave in here, and that's nuts. But it's, and so you have to talk to yourself, like Alan Watts used to say. But if people are talking to themselves, like mumbling to themselves, and without talking to anybody else, you might think they're crazy or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but hey, we operate with such a vast and expansive brain. Like, everything comes from up here, and because we're human, we have feelings, and those feelings influence our behavior. And cognitive behavioral therapy, I feel as though, doesn't it kind of target those emotions and kind of transmute them into behaviors that are conducive to improving your life, enhancing your relationships, your self-talk, and all the good stuff.
You're right. Jeez, it's kind of trippy to think about sometimes, because that kind of interaction with yourself, it can really be kind of I found that it was bad for my art sometimes, because I was a heavy metal guitar player, and if I self-talk myself into not being upset, I don't even want to play heavy metal anymore. Isn't that funny? And so I've got this great coping skill that's beautiful, but it's I guess that's where the real transcendence comes into that CBT for short. Is you can really go beyond your patterns of behavior, and that's a lot like that's an alien idea, because we're so settled into this. I forget the term my friend used last night, but it's like there is almost a caste system in America where the 1%, or 1% of the wealth in the world is 98% of the wealth is owned by 1%. That's what I meant to say. But that's just so, it seems unattainably distant, right? I could never even influence that group of people because they're so far away.
Or could you?
Yeah, and that's I think art. Right?
They're part of the collective consciousness. I feel as though, it is kind of a lofty goal, don't get me wrong, but I feel as though because we're all connected through our consciousness, it is possible.
You're right. I know. I always.
I had to that counter.
Thank you, though.
Yeah.
I really appreciate people who can help me see every side or most of the other sides.
Totally. Yeah, that is so important.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying about caste systems, I was just talking about that the other day with my friend as well. And the caste system in America is more prevalent than I've ever experienced. Mostly because as I mature, I start to see it more, and the more I go out into the world, and after my experience of traveling across America and seeing it all, and being like a nomadic kind of person, you are more of an observer rather than participating in the whole facade. As people who are more settled in their communities and doing their work. And I had this moment in time, this period of about a month and a half, where I was just really observing America, and the caste system is really disheartening.
Yeah, and it's not really a caste, but that's what it appears to be, right?
Right on, yeah. It's nothing like the caste system in India, where there's the Brahmins that.
That's heavy. That stuff's dark. It's kind of dark.
It is really
for me. I don't know. I look at it and kind of cringe, but that's why we bring it up now, I guess. It's because that, and it's interesting though, that consciousness kind of popped up and came over here. And I'm willing to admit that for the sake of my friends who might not. So, but that's part. But I mean, as soon as I say any of that, I immediately throw anything I have out the door because I really struggle with creative compassion. Like part of my cynicism is like, the 1%'s unobtainably distant through their own fears and walls, right? But reality is that if you just keep trying to heal, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah,
right?
And maybe not directly, but perhaps a person that you influence, they go on, the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
They go on to have, a revelation that then influences the next person.
That is so strange you said that. You're so right. Like, I think my twin sister's best friend worked for Donald Trump's son during the election.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. So there you go. There's your in.
I said that.
You have an avenue.
I said that to my roommates and they gave me a weird look like, what the fuck? I think that's weird too, but there's the crack that the light shines through. And it kind of reminds me of your painting of the Akashic record. It's like there is like one solid being like in the middle that it's like experiencing the fuck out of life or the fifth dimension. But all the books, it's like every book's there.
Right.
There's not a book missing.
Yeah.
Well, wait, is there? I didn't notice if there was. I thought they were all there.
There might be one, but it might just be elusive.
Oh, word. Word.
The missing book could be. It's like there's not really a missing book, but if there were a missing book, it could be that present moment that you are looking at the painting and writing it as you go.
Oh shit. Yeah, you're right. That's interesting. That's definitely like a wormhole for my head to go down. It's like, but then but what about the other books? It must be a real interesting book. Oh goodness, I went on a tangent again. What was I saying? What were we saying? Oh, hope and compassion. That was it.
Yes.
So,
influencing the 1%.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. How long have you been painting? I asked you this last night, but I want the listeners to know.
Yeah, I've been painting since I was 6.
Okay. Did you go to school anywhere?
So when I was 6, I went into these lessons, and I didn't really get too much instruction there. It was more of just a space to create. And I was painting alongside older people who are professionals, and just I think being exposed to that at such a young age, it started to influence my own art. So I started off doing landscape paintings and portraiture and that kind of thing. And then I continued it, but on my own. And when I got into high school, I went into a separate academy for art, and I studied studio art there. So the painting journey continued. And then when I graduated, I went to University of Massachusetts for a year where I studied art, and then I transferred to UMBC in Maryland to pursue graphic design.
That's a long list. And it shows too, though. Like, good job. Your art's great. I try to drop one really cheesy, obvious compliment in my podcasts because it makes people laugh.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming to Austin to share this because we're so lucky to have the nomadic Leah.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
It's Leah. I call you Leah for some fucking reason. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
That was a cool person. She was a Jedi.
Yeah.
At the end, she floated through space, the fifth dimension.
That's why I never correct people. If you call me Leia, hey, I'm with it.
Smooth. I tell people you can call me whatever you want, but I only respond to a few things. Do you respond to Leia?
I do, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You could be DJ Leia.
DJ Leia. That's a great segue, actually. One of the reasons why I found Austin to be just calling my name is the music scene, the live music culture. It really drew me in, and
I wanted to ask you how you like Austin.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I had a burp, and I burped like that. Like, because I don't want to burp like that. Anyway. It's recorded. I know.
Love it. Hey, this is authentic. I love that.
I do these. I know. I love saying I can edit this out of the podcast and then just leave it in.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
See how it goes.
So, have you seen a lot of the music in Austin since you've been here?
Yeah.
Did you go to Create Culture?
No, I didn't.
It's okay.
I didn't know about it.
How long are you in town?
Oh, I moved here.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when I was traveling across America, when I stopped in Austin, I immediately knew I want to move here.
Oh, shit.
So I continued on my journey. I went to California, and when I came back for the opening reception night, that was the night I started looking at places.
Really?
So yeah, I flew back, I drove back actually, and I settled in. Settled into Austin.
Welcome.
Home.
Yeah, welcome. I'm stoked. You know, like, you're like the one out of every 1,000 people that moves here that's cool.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding. That's an inside joke. Once you get a few years under your belt here, you'll start making it too. It's like everyone moves here, right?
Yeah.
Well, Create Culture is actually the culture that I guess my career was seated in. Like 3 years ago, I started painting downtown at Empire. I'll definitely connect you to Chance. They'll feature your art for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, like every week at Wednesday at Empire, there's a dance party that's like, I mean, I'm pretty certain, I know you like Goop Step, but like, he's definitely played this last year. Like, they get all the really, really good people. It's like everybody except Tipper. It's like everybody Tipper hires.
One day, that's a dream.
You should consider going on 420. That one's gonna be good.
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, you said Empire?
Yeah,
Where
Empire
is that?
Control Room. So it's.
I was there last night.
Wait, really? That's the one.
Empire Control Room, that's such a cool venue.
It's pretty
It's a little
neat.
hidden gem.
It's neat, and they let people just go in and paint, and if you get
Very cool.
it's a very it's a production company, so they they are trying. So
Yeah,
it's a spot.
They're called what is the production company behind it? It's
Herd Presents, I believe.
Represents. Okay.
Those guys.
It sucks to have to rely on that, but it is important when you're talking about business.
Yeah, well, I started as a live painter who's just like, oh, I can do this, and so it was really fun for me. And I've only been painting for about 5 years, right? But I've been drawing for a long time. So live painting for free, it was like saving my soul. But then I was like, I can't just do this with all the diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But
Are you allowed to sell prints alongside it?
yeah,
You are. Okay.
yeah, I am for sure. The art is a B purchase, or a C purchase even, because the beer is the B purchase, right? And that's a part of the reality of painting at a bar, but this just got real business savvy real quick, and it's like, it's not as colorful as I would hope.
Hey, it's every corner.
Yeah,
Reaching into the art realm is comprehensive, and
It's not just finite.
Yeah. And business is a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very, if you are like a private artist, which most people are, I assume, without management or something like that, you have to be a very well-rounded entrepreneur.
Totally.
Yeah. Like, I get exhausted sometimes because I know that there's certain things I have to be doing, but I just want to paint right now. Yeah, it's hard to strike that balance. Yes.
Yeah, and I find that I'm definitely right-brained.
Oh, word.
100%.
Cool.
Yeah, like the art and music, comes naturally. However, the business does not, and I really have to push myself and my boundaries, my knowledge. I have to really seek resources so that I can, accommodate both the business and the art. Kind of blend the two into a holistic type of endeavor. Because one without the other is, you can still succeed in some sense, but if you have help, but doing it all on your own, I find that you have to go out of your way to really strike that balance.
Yes, and I think that it's not, I don't want to make the impression that I don't want to paint in front of people unless I'm getting paid, because the reality of it is, like, the community that's earned from that endeavor is invaluable.
Right.
And that's why I brought it up. It's because your people are there. The people who really appreciate it. Just like in a moment are like, yo, thanks.
Totally.
They're there. Right?
Yeah. Live painting is, I've done it a few times, not compensated, but at the same time, I was painting to some of my favorite artists at the best festivals in the world. And that experience alone is invaluable. I couldn't place a price tag over it.
I agree. And I think in that one situation, I agree. It just depends how over the top you're going to go. If you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on supplies, you might want to get comped.
Right. And if you're traveling, that kind of thing.
And I was talking about this, it's, because it's like admittedly awkward for me to talk about the business aspect of being an artist, because it feels almost insincere because it comes naturally, right? Yeah. And so when you're gifting the world stuff, I know, like, I need money to pay my bills, but I would give people art if it's easy. Like, straight up. It's like, if I'm comfortable, it seems like I'm just giving art to everybody. And this is just where the balance becomes, and I'm glad we're talking about it, because I just finished reading The War of Art, right?
Oh my goodness, my housemate was just reading that.
Really?
Yeah, she goes, you need to read this book. I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, it was very inspiring. It was so inspiring, I knew I shouldn't read it all at once, and that I should draw it out, really take it in, and practice stuff. And what I realized was that it was fairly cold-blooded at times. It's like, this is serious? This is a fucking war? And we will starve and work? And now I'm just remembering an Orson Welles speech where he was like, as artists, we're lucky to have work, period. Like, money's just the icing on the cake. It's like, the chance for that comes after the work and stuff. Yeah. But wow. Did I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not at all. I was just exclaiming, like, wow, like, it's an actual war. But I do see those struggles for artists. I've heard about the H&M and Urban Outfitters kind of ripping off artists' originals work.
Oh, yeah.
Like original artwork that they pass as their own, and they don't compensate the artist.
I didn't believe that at first. I was like, is this fake? I was like, what?
Like, what kind of world do we live in?
I'm not sure.
And so, there's that. So you kind of have to copyright your work, and
even I read an article that said that graffiti is like, you can't defend it against copyright with copyright laws. It's public property, so like graffiti, you could literally sell prints of someone's graffiti just from your pictures, and like they couldn't do shit about it.
Wow. I want to say that actually is kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
I thought so too.
Yeah.
It's like, it is illegal.
And I feel as though with graffiti art, you are going into it knowing that this is, once you put it out there, it's for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
And just like with other kinds of art too, but when somebody is ripping you off and not compensating you for original work that they pass as their own, that's kind of different.
Yeah, see like a coffee table book of like a compendium of all the graffiti from the last 10 decades across America and Europe or something. I just like saying the word compendium. It's a collection. That's a cool word, man.
It is.
That would be cool though, and I think in that situation it'd be aesthetic, right? But this is where the conversation is really, it's like, it's like I want to stay on the right brain.
Let's go back to.
Yeah, my brain's like,
Go back.
I don't like it over here.
It's a little icky because that's our programming. We've been raised to believe that money is the direct motive for most of America's endeavors.
And in that movie, They Live, when he put the sunglasses in and looked at money, it said, "This is your God."
Yes.
On all money.
Yes,
Like,
and I feel as though that is the perspective of a huge majority of people, and for that to be an actual truth is just devastating because money is just an exchange of energy. When you are providing a service or a painting, it's just getting that kind of energy back. But when you view it as your God and it dictates and rules all of your actions, all of your mind space, that is just, it's kind of like you're wasting your time. You're wasting your life away.
Yeah.
When you could be focusing on connection, tapping in, creating
It's tapping in
moments. Tapping in.
I shouldn't interrupt. You were so right though. It's not tapping. I'm just messing with you. For some reason, I have a great propensity to just interrupt the deep shit with like a complete, like being a moron.
That's okay. We need that juxtaposition in life.
It's the sugar that helps the medicine go down.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the Mary Poppins thing.
Yeah, when you go too deep, sometimes you just need to laugh.
Yes.
You can't
Absolutely.
take life too seriously.
Yeah. No, that's why the glove's on the thing, because it makes it look like a weird, like, cyber techno rooster or something.
Yeah, it really does. It's cute. This little microphone looks, I'm sorry, the listeners can't really see this, but the microphone looks like a little robot who's standing, like, kind of like taken aback and covering his ears, like, whoa, man.
Yeah, I do actually.
Like covering his ears, like, whoa.
that
What am I listening to?
That reminds me of like this. There was like a toddler here at the gallery last night while I was playing Tool. I got him on video. Like, he came in. He was kind of like. He wasn't covering his ears. He was just kind of like. Ooh. I was like, yes, I planted that seed. I'm so happy.
Kudos.
Yeah, and then I was like,
Never be the same.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I like that band too much, clearly, but I'm like, yeah, exactly. Oh, you got me. I might be obsessed. I'm like, I like them so much I don't listen to them. It's like it's like a shrine for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like hollow ground that I like tear up. I'm like, no, I can't. I've got stuff to do.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, music is really what chimes my heart more than anything. We could talk about that. I love just going off on tangents.
Yeah, let's talk about music.
Oh wait, the chiming of the heart isn't a tangent. Oh wait, this is all relative. So, like, I think of compassion as, like, strings connecting people's hearts, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's like a soul bond. You can be connected at the soul at that point. And then how often do, like, the people who have that connection, knowingly, unknowingly kind of like pull on it, you know, like try to like cut it loose or something. And I think that same string could be like, you know, played like a violin or something, you know, with a bow that's like really nice and a harmonic and stuff. And music could be the compelling string that we can use to affect like the 1%.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, one of my paintings on my Instagram, I wrote a caption about, or actually no, I think I was doing a yoga pose, and the pose inspired me to write this caption for some reason about living in harmony with those around us, and how if we tune into our own individuality and we tune into our purpose and get into that flow state that music brings us, it's a way to ignite that harmonious rhythm amongst one another. Because if you think of the collective humankind as an orchestra, and we're all in tune, and we all play harmoniously with one another, that could be a heavenly realm.
Certainly. And how frequently do you meet someone who's playing like bombastic, cacophonous, freeform jazz, you know, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Right?
Yeah.
You're like, you're doing it wrong, man.
Yeah.
You know, this time signature is foreign. You know, it's like,
maybe those are the aliens.
This is the African drum circle. Aliens too, though, like, there's some music out there that makes me really cool. I'm like, that was definitely the sound of an alien.
Tipper.
Yeah, dude.
Tipper is just amazing.
Yeah.
I do believe that he channels from. I mean, we all kind of go into the astral world when we sleep, but I really think that he really goes deep and brings back.
I think he might be an alien. I'll say it. Fuck it. Like, I don't care. He's that good. I don't mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, think about it. He's friends with Spangle, Alex Gray.
Yeah.
You know, he's like one of the best electronic music producers out there.
They're paving the way.
So, well, he's also got like, when I've heard him live, I might be biased by my state of mind. Like,
Tipper or Spangle?
both. Spangle's, I mean, they're both magic regardless, but I think that being open to the ideas of extraterrestrials, you know, albeit 3-dimensional, 5th-dimensional, 8th-dimension, whatever, being open to that idea is what allows you to receive those sorts of feelings, right?
Yeah.
And so in the same way, I mean, don't you kind of just feel bad for that 1%? You know, don't you kind of feel like they're the aliens, right?
Yeah, totally. It's that compassion strings that you're talking about. You want to just, you know, you have empathy for them because they're living in an illusion that may be a hellish state.
Yeah, I imagine they're afraid too, because I mean, they've got to know if there's more of us than them, right? You know, like, what if they're just trying to buy their way in? I mean, this is what it goes into, you know, like, they're trying to, like, create a society that is not unlike a factory farm where, like, the people are being convinced that reproduction is, you know, get married and reproduce and get a job and work for the corporation, you know, and then be happy, you know. But the key to making tons and tons of money is to displace a little bit of happiness at some point along the way. Like, I mean, I'm sure you can get rich, you know, on good intentions and, you know, being a really good business and stuff, but it is undisputable that really bad things have happened for individuals in other countries. For example, like Nike, you know, like, children make their shoes.
Yeah,
like,
exploitation is horrible.
It's nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's like the things that people do to accumulate wealth is beyond our human nature. I think at that point, we go beyond our human nature and we kind of dip into the hellish states of consciousness in order to achieve that money, which is their god.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because earlier I was like bitching about money, right? I was like, they don't pay me to do the thing that I love to do. And I caught myself because it's like, that is a paradox, of course. And
Right.
I imagine, see, I try to relate to other people by accepting my own humanity. You know?
Yeah, that's a great way to see it.
Yeah, because in that sense, you know, then you are in the orchestra, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I get, you know, afraid and anxious because of some weird thing, I imagine they do too. It's just a little different, right?
Right. Yeah, their reference point is a little bit different, demographics, their upbringing, their programming, but we all have that same connecting link. Just we come from the divine source of love, and we're always trying to remember it, even though sometimes we get lost along our own path.
Oh yeah, you can say that a few more times if you would like. That's the war. That's what the book talks about, the art of war. When you're a creative person, you are fighting resistance to be yourself, you know, and you know, a lot of depression is stemmed in this resistance that's developed over a very long amount of time to where you're cognitively behaving as though there's a bully in your head.
Right. And that's never your voice.
It's always a fear, right?
Yeah, it's that fear of, you know, the list goes on, but it's living in the past. It's never your voice. It's just voices that you've heard that have been morphed into your own.
Yeah, that's the truth about it. And I think that at the end of the book, I pretty much realized that if I've made a habit of resisting, then I need to keep that habit up and resist resistance. You know, just kind of be like, I'm resisting that.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is my nature to resist, so I will resist the resistance.
There you go.
And then balance out, but...
Yeah.
How is, I ask a lot of my guests this, but how has your creativity helped you in your compassion? Like, I think personally that having creativity is imperative for being compassionate today because it's so complicated.
Wow.
But it's a fun question, right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so cultivating compassion through creativity, there is a multitude of ways that kind of transpires. I find the most powerful factor in cultivating compassion through creativity is the very fact that you're spending a load of time, a shitload, I don't know if I can cuss on here.
A metric dick load.
Yes, of time alone creating.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of time alone with your own thoughts, your own darkness, your own light. You get a huge sense of your human nature, of your humanity, of your strengths, of your weaknesses.
Your limits.
You know, it makes you incredibly humble every time that you lay a brushstroke. If you are in the flow in creating with love, it kind of builds at that momentum of compassion. And compassion starts with the self. And so when you're painting for hours upon hours each day, and doing that for years and years, there's no way that you can't be compassionate, because you find that compassion for yourself, and then it is overflowing, and then that creative energy can be, that you've been using painting, that creative energy can now be used to create experiences for other people when they're in your presence that can create that compassionate essence.
Yeah, I love that answer. And I don't know if I've heard that one yet, but you're right. The compassion you develop for just like that one person in the room, you know, that's you. I think that's the key to any relationship, you know, like you know, a soul bond, 1%, 98, 99%, whatever. That relationship you have with whoever is one that will, you know, like what you take into that is either compassion or you know, a confused version of it, right?
Yeah, totally. And we only meet another person at the level that we've met ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we meet ourselves with compassion in every present moment, and we experience feelings, and you know, we recognize them, honor them, but we never are attached to any sort of negative emotion.
I try to be.
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I personally
sure.
Get righteous, right? I'm like, I can handle this negativity. I'm like, I'm here because this, you know, the tap-in symbol was shown in the sky, and then like I showed up with my compassion, and yeah. I can handle it. But dude, I can't. I really can't, and that's what makes it interesting, because you want to love everybody, right? But it's like willpower's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Yeah, and you have to also. So you get the energy that you give.
Yeah.
Right. The golden rule. But if you are around energy that you're not vibing with, you know, you gotta set boundaries too.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
So is that what you were kind of going off?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you have to put up a guard and not really give everybody. Kind of dip into that level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to reserve it.
And it's hard. It's hard because it's. I heard the other day, and I wrote it down, that retaining contradictory information takes effort.
Yes.
So it's like there's this paradigm of, you know, like an infinite pool of beautiful, creative compassion, you know, that spills from the fountains of God's garden. You know, it's all poetic and beautiful. But you have to set boundaries. So it's like, but don't be, but you know, you're not separate from anybody. That's an illusion.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's the effort, right?
Yeah, and I think at this moment in time, we're in that shifting era where we're becoming more conscious thinkers. We're becoming more aware of how us as sentient beings are relating to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the more knowledge that you consume, the more that you are able to give love, give compassion, give your attention, give your time in the ways that you choose. You're able to use the feelings of our humanity and to, you know, observe, feel, and then react, rather than that reaction state that we've been in for centuries.
Yeah.
So, becoming more conscious thinkers.
Yeah, and I actually think those words, to try to de-escalate things. I mean, did you say like, you know, listen, look, and feel?
Something like that. I think it was like observe, feel.
We could just rewind it, but
yeah.
I think I understood you.
Yeah, just observing, observing energy, observing your environment, and then thinking, but not being attached to the thought that comes.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, because it kind of is like that, like the Akashic record painting we were talking about. You know, if there was a book missing, not to get completion anxiety about, you know, getting that last book, which could be yours, in the wall, because then you're just burning out too fast, right?
Yeah. Maybe that book is the eternal present moment.
Yeah. I definitely would hope so. And it's not just some, like, comic book. Although, maybe the moment is a comic book. Maybe the sixth dimension is a comic book.
That'd be
I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but that's funny. So I want to get back to like this retention of contradictory information and how like, well, I may express myself to you briefly. For me, for some reason, I really want to, the word I know to use is grok. I want to grok my compassion. Do you know what I mean by that?
Sort of.
So it was a word that was invented in the book Dune, and it basically means to know 100% throughout your whole being.
Okay, yeah, just by the way that you said it, I could imagine that it meant something like harness, maybe? Like harness the consciousness?
I think so. I could definitely see like a relationship, that's not too abstract. It's like, for me, I want to harness a grokking because...
Gotcha.
Because...
So it's more of a noun.
Yeah, I guess... Wait. No, wait. To grok is a verb.
It's a verb.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
And then a grokking is a verb. I'll have to look it up. Is your phone on? I turned mine off.
It's on... Yes.
We could get the exact definition. I don't mind. I mean, pretty much what it means, though, for me, is that I'd like to arrive to a logical conclusion as to why I should be compassionate right now, and not just kind of be like smiling, I want to be really, what's it called, like, I want to truly feel compassion for somebody, not just because it's the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like to go beyond that intellectual understanding and really just operate with love and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ideal.
Did you get the definition?
Yeah, let's see how this matches up. Yeah, to understand profoundly and intuitively. It's a verb.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, to understand profoundly and intuitively.
It's a short word.
Yeah. Wow, what a great word. Definitely adding that to my vocabulary.
Yeah, dude. I started this podcast so that we could make, we as any body could create language that might not exist.
Right on.
Yeah, because, these heart spaces that we're talking about, you have to be very creative to really stay in there, because it's so easy to come hurling back down like a meteor from the gravity of your own actions. It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope sometimes.
Yeah, and language can be so restrictive. Sometimes language can't really express what we want to.
Yeah.
It kind of puts a hindrance on what we're experiencing and what we're trying to convey.
Yeah, well, we're getting to an interesting conversation that could be not unlike telepathy. Of course, the big engine goes by when I say that. But I feel like really a lot of the conversations we're having as people are in the heart. I can really feel that way. And Terence McKenna said that, telepathy already exists, and the way it's happening is through mouth sounds.
Right.
Yeah, it's you understand what I think because I say it.
Yeah.
And I mean, now I'm just kind of chasing reality's tail for entertainment purposes. Like the Dancing Bears and the Grateful Dead. That's how I imagine those to be, what those mean. It's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. Okay.
Hell yeah.
That was a tangent.
It's all good. It's all good. That's reality.
You know what?
It's never one path.
You're right. Always.
There's no destination. It's just a conversation.
Yeah, and I really appreciate my guests because y'all have to have some patience. I have great compassion for people who tolerate me.
Well, we are painters. We're very patient.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
We're actually about at an hour. I have stuff I need to go do, actually, podcast stuff, because it's been like 2 weeks since I've released an episode.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk to you and dive deep.
Yeah, you know what? This is going to be great. People are going to be like, what? This person lives here?
Aww.
Thank you so much for having a conversation with me. I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, same. I'm looking forward to the next one, for sure.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Aliens are real.
Ah, perfect.
They operate in the fifth dimension. It's always available to us to tap into that consciousness that operates in love and compassion. We just have to be aware of the present moment.
It's hard to deny that when you're surrounded by Elliot Rodgers paintings.
Seriously. Seriously. They are ways that you can tap in immediately, for sure.
You know, he was smiling so much last night.
It was so fucking epic. His music playing in the background, taking you on an epic journey in your mind looking at his paintings. Like that, he created an entire experience.
Dude, yeah, it's like, I fucking love Elliot, dude. It's like, I think he might love me too. Seriously. Like, thank you so much. And you know what? That's the best thing about this space, the gallery, and why I wanted them to be my sponsors, because the vibe's really high here, and I always get butterflies right before I come. Like every time. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's like I'm getting goosebumps now.
Me too. Right when you said butterflies, like I got goosebumps just thinking about every time I come here.
Goosebumps never lie, ever.
Yeah, there are ways where you know that's the truth. This space is so special. So many visionaries, so many beautiful minds have come through here.
Yeah, and
I'm just happy to...
including you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm happy to just be a part of this entire experience, and truly, I'm so excited to see what it beckons forth in this Austin experience.
Oh, I can't wait to see your journey. I'm excited just for entertainment reasons. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. Like, listening to you talk, I'm like, that's interesting. You said some good stuff.
So did you. Cheers to that.
Cheers. And we'll wrap it up on that one. Thank you, Leah.